Hello, everyone, and welcome to ReelQuick, episode 121. I think, what's the word? A palindrome when something's the same backwards as forward. That's pretty fun. But today we're going to be talking about the secret life of Walter Mitty on this Christmas Eve day. And this is recommended by our patron, Reese David. So shout out to him. Shout out to everyone on the Patreon and our Discord. Check out the links in the description down below to go and check those out. And with that, we'll get right into the movie. It's directed by Ben Stiller, obviously starring him as well in the titular role of Walter Mitty. The tagline is "Stop dreaming, start living." The synopsis is: a timid magazine photo manager who lives life vicariously through daydreams embarks on a true life adventure when a negative goes missing. Starring Ben Stiller, Kristen Wiig, Sean Penn, Adam Scott. Let's go ahead and just jump into this one. It's one of my favorite comfort movies of all time for sure. It's gonna be a fun one to talk about. So we'll dive in. I'm gonna start with Eeny Meeny Seth. Let's get your thoughts on Walter
Eeny
Mitty.
Meeny Seth. Yeah, so I'll be honest, I was a bit on and off watching this today. Well, I did watch it, but very on and off because
Hadn't you seen it before though?
I have seen it before. Yeah, I watched it. Well,
that's what I thought.
I watched it very recently. I watched it I think me and I actually watched it on Christmas Day. I think I don't know why we switched on Christmas Day.
So a year ago.
Shit, man, fuck. That's crazy.
Yeah. I was about to say, you celebrate Christmas on a different day?
Yeah.
I thought it was July. That's crazy. Oh my God. Okay, so a year ago then, apparently. Cool. I really like it. I think it was different than what I was expecting, but also the same. You know, it's a very much straightforward, chasing your dreams kind of story, getting out of your comfort zone, finding something new, building opportunities, and doing what you're not comfortable with. And I think that shows. I think what I was most impressed by with this film from the start is actually the technical aspects of it. Visually, this film is unbelievable at points. There are so many sequences in it that are directly dreamlike, like the film synopsis, attention to detail with his storytelling, attention to detail with his technicalities. And I think the cinematography was kind of the most, impressive thing to me. I do think storytelling wise, it's a bit same old. You've seen one film like this, you've seen it before, but it has this kind of unique way of making you just feel so good, whether that's down to Ben Stiller directed, didn't he? Yeah, he did, yeah. Well, that's down to obviously his direction, should I say, his role, or just the many events he goes on and the many characters he meets along the way. So many likable ones, so much you can take from it. And even though it is cliche and maybe melodramatic and maybe over sentimental, it kind of works. I really, really like it. I think me and Anna both just had it. It was one of those kind of feel good films. It feels like, that classic saying, it feels like a warm hug. That's exactly what this film is. And I think that was always the goal. It doesn't really want to be anything more. It's just it tells important life info, life stories, and it tells you to get out there and do your own thing, which I think is cool. I also remember I kind of realized today the soundtrack's really, really good as well. Really, really like that. Soundtrack's great.
So good.
It's what started the never gonna yeah, okay. I can't think of it, but that's what this song is from, right? Yeah, that was the start of this.
Yeah, really, really, really good soundtrack, and it works kind of. That's the one, yeah. It works kind of in line with the film so well. And yeah, when I watched it today, kind of felt the same. Nothing really changed. I do think, again, storytelling is a bit over sentimental, but whatever. It works exactly as it needs to. I'm torn. I haven't really logged it yet. I did have it at a 4-star. I might move down to a 3.5, or I might keep it at 4. I'm not really too sure yet. But either way, really, really like it. Think it's a good film. Probably better than I imagined it to be after I read the synopsis for the first time as well. So yeah, 3.5 or 4. I'm kind of undecided on second watch anyway.
Cam, I think you're the lowest of us 4 on it with the 3.5, I think. But let's hear your thoughts. I think you're the lowest.
Yeah, I was at a 3.5. So I watched this for the first time, I think, but I think I've seen it before, or I've seen parts or something. So I had it at 3.5, and then I sat through my day, and I'm like, well, I don't think I really like it that much. So I dropped it down to a 3, like a 64 out of 100 around there. So still a high 3. Yeah, I didn't love it. I wish I liked it more. I kind of had this mental image in my head that it would make me feel like Ted Lasso does. And it just didn't, honestly. It just didn't give me that joyous feeling that I was hoping for as much as I wanted to. And I think a lot of that is I don't love Ben Stiller in this or Kristen Wiig. Don't love them in this. And I don't know why exactly, but I just don't think their chemistry works all that well. I don't think Kristen Wiig was all that amazing. Ben Stiller's a good dramatic actor, but I think, and while I do think a lot of comedic actors are fantastic dramatic actors, like obviously Jason Sudeikis, and then Adam Sandler. I think Andy Samberg's great in dramatic roles. Like I think they do the best transition from comedic to dramatic. I don't think his worked as well. This is probably the most dramatic role I feel like I've seen him in. Can't think if there's like too much more. Yeah, what else would it be?
Carry on. I'm sure he's done.
Yeah,
he did the role. The Royal Tenenbaums is very comedy. Yeah, comedy drama. Yeah, but you're probably right actually from what I can.
Yeah, I think this is the most dramatic, and I don't think he was amazing. I think he's fine. Just didn't love him. I think what holds this up. Oh, you got it.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think Tyler has the Meyerowitz stories. That's kind of dramatic role.
Yeah. Greenberg as well. He's in a lot of Baumbach stuff, I think too.
Yeah,
he's been in a couple.
Is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll watch those and see how much more I like him. But
it's good.
Yeah, I think it just didn't sell me a whole lot on this. I like you mentioned. I think the cinematography is like what makes this movie really great or really good. But the rest of it just didn't work for me as much. I think Sean Penn was really good. In his 5 minutes or whatever.
I forgot he was in this, honestly. Yeah. I love that scene. That scene's great.
It's a great scene. Just didn't come away from this. Oh man, didn't come away from this as loving it as much as I would have liked to. So yeah, I brought it down to a 64, 3 out of 5 stars.
Well, we got a Grinch there in Cam. George, Walter Mitty.
Yeah, I like Walter Mitty a lot. I hadn't rewatched it in a long time. But yeah, like Seth said, it's just like that warm hug that you just kind of need every so often. I think this movie is just filled with so many really cool, just sweet moments. And I think that's what elevated it for me. And then like Seth said, the soundtrack on top of those moments, like the scene where he's riding the bike and you have Of Monsters and Men going in the background, I think is just fantastic. I think the entire sequence where he's running towards the helicopter and he's kind of it's just like this bundle of hope, and you have David Bowie going in the background, even though Kristen Wiig is kind of singing it. I think they utilize the soundtrack in this movie just fantastically. You got Grace Mitchell popping in every so often, which I think is just fantastic. But yeah, like I said, this movie is just a compilation of a lot of just awe-inspiring scenes. It's just fantastic work on a narratively, and then you have, I gotta completely disagree with Cam on Ben Stiller. I think he's great in this movie. Kristen Wiig, a bit iffy here and there. I didn't buy their relationship, but I really liked
her in general, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not I think she's
not a huge.
I actually think I like her in most things. I didn't love her in this.
Yeah, I didn't buy their relationship, and that's one part of the movie that just that kind of holds it back. And I say holds it back loosely, even though I still give this movie a 4 out of 5 stars. But when you're trying to push a relationship that strongly in a movie, you need to have a little bit of better chemistry. And I think that was the part that kind of maybe stops this movie from truly being a 4.5 for me. But Ben Stiller, I think he plays that dramatic, hopeful character really well. And I think, like Seth pointed out, the final, not final, but one of the last conversations he has is with Sean Penn's character. I think that entire sequence is just really fucking fantastic. They're just kind of enjoying life, and they're just talking about nonsense. And that's kind of just what I like about this movie. It's very hopeful. It is a really good, feel-good movie. It's a warm hug that I really enjoy. I love the soundtrack. I love these large, wide landscape shots and just these moments like him on the skateboard, him on the bicycle, him with the helicopter, these conversations he's having with the boat crew and Sean Penn's character and Kristen Wiig's character. I just think this movie is just filled with a lot of tender moments, and that's just what makes it great. And then on top of that, I just think it's a really cute story. It's just a guy doing the most for the absolute least, for a company that doesn't care about him, that's being overrun, to find this really tiny, small picture. And when we get into spoilers, we'll talk about that picture because that's like my favorite part of the movie. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. It's a 4 out of 5 from me. Fantastic soundtrack, great Ben Stiller performance. 4 out of 5. Good movie.
I take back my Kristen Wiig comment. I think she's all right.
What are you looking
you
at?
remembered? You remembered Wonder Woman 1984?
I like
Oh
her in
my
that. Like, she's
God.
one of the better parts.
I forgot about that.
Not one of
Jesus
the better
Christ.
roles.
Isn't
but
that
I think
the
she's,
good
like,
Wonder
a
Woman?
good-
No,
Yeah,
that's one of the worst movies
Which is
ever.
the good Wonder Woman? Is that just called Wonder Woman?
One of the
Yeah, it's just
worst
the first
movies
one.
Ever. It's extreme.
I tweeted the other day or yesterday, I think, saying like movies that aren't Christmas movies, but they're Christmas adjacent. I didn't think of Walter Mitty, but I guess it kind of is. It came like the first time I ever saw it was when it came out in theaters when I worked at a movie theater, and it was on Christmas Day. It came out, and then looking at my Letterboxd log, I watched it in 2021 on December 21st, and then just rewatched it now. So it's like every time I've ever watched this movie, it's like Christmas time. So I guess it's like Christmas adjacent enough, but I think it might be like the highest tier on it, I guess. Like I love the soundtrack. So much of this movie, like Seth said, is over sentimental and like in your face with the messaging, but I think it just works here. I think it's just a nice bundle of joy and it's a nice, hopeful movie. Like there's so much overt symbolism, like when he gets to Greenland for the first time and like we have 2 cars left, the red car, the blue car, like very obviously in your face, like which you're gonna choose. He chooses the red car, and then Sean Penn gives him that last image in a wallet, and then he's like, what do you do with it? He's like, I threw away the wallet. It's like you don't realize when life gives you such a massive gift and you just sometimes you just throw away something that could be the greatest thing ever. And I just think for me, the messaging works in this movie, even though it is like so in your face. Soundtrack is just phenomenal. And just Ben Stiller, I really do enjoy in this role too. I'm with George there. I do really like him in this. The relationship was, whatever, but Adam Scott just is so good at playing that just punchable, like annoying douche.
Adam Scott's great in everything.
He's so good.
I love
that
him.
guy.
I hated the beard though. It just doesn't look right.
Yeah,
It doesn't look right. Does it?
The
Beard
worst
just,
part.
I think that's the point though, to like
Right.
make him look like extra douchey, but like it just does not look normal.
Right, but
Yeah.
like the what George said about how he's just doing so much for a company that doesn't give a shit about him is just such a great way to put it. It's just he really sees his life by the opportunity in this movie. Like you said, the company's laying him off. He's worked there for years, probably has barely gotten raises. He just kind of goes, does his job. He doesn't really have much of an outside life. He still hangs with his sister and goes see her in her local plays and hangs out with his family, which there's nothing wrong with, but it just doesn't seem like he's like a big, like, he doesn't have a ton of friends and hanging out with guys outside of people he just works with. So finally he gets this opportunity to do something big with his life or his career as one final shining moment. And it just works for me in every way. Like the first time, like the Dirty Paws by Monsters and Men is just so great. I didn't
So
realize they were an Icelandic band. So it just seems like from a director standpoint, he really paid attention to so much detail with, he's going to Iceland. He's going to use Icelandic bands as the music. The cinematography was really great, really showcased the culture and like the scenery of that country very well, even though I do see that it took place in Greenland and Iceland, but it was filmed completely in Iceland. And I wonder if like Greenland and Iceland, people get annoyed about that when people conflate the two countries. But, yeah, Ben Stiller, I really enjoyed his performance in this and directing. Cam and I touched on it. I don't even remember when, a couple weeks ago, maybe we're like, what's Ben Stiller been up to lately? Because I think Severance is his big thing, is making Severance, but he's not really acting much, not really directing much on the movie side of things.
This recently, I feel like we did, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it was one of the real talks, but I want to see more from him because his direction is all over the place in terms of like he's done this and then he's also done like the Zoolander movies. I didn't realize he directed Zoolander 1.
He directed Zoolander 1?
Yeah, which I was surprised. I didn't realize he was in the directing game.
That's the good one.
Man.
Hell yeah.
I don't even. Honestly, I didn't even.
I think he directed both, but
yeah, I didn't even peep that he
directed-
directed Walter
Yeah.
Mitty until I like went to log this on Letterboxd.
yep, stand by. So his directorial movies. He had a couple before, but then Zoolander 1, Tropic Thunder, great directed movie.
Yeah.
Wasn't Zoolander 1 like
2001. He was directing. I mean,
Jesus,
he has a directed
2001.
feature film in
Wow.
1994 and then 1996 with Reality Bites and The Cable Guy. And then
Interesting.
Zoolander 2 is 2016. But it looks like TV with Severance directing that has really been his own thing lately. So not the most booked and busy guy, but it seems like he's more of a Severance is his baby type of guy. But yeah, I don't know. This movie is just everything I wanted it to be. I really enjoy it. It's just every time I watch it, I immediately like look up ticket prices to Iceland because this is a perfect tourism movie for Iceland. This makes me want to go visit there so badly.
Yeah.
I want to bike the streets of Iceland so bad.
Put some rocks on my hands and longboard down the slope. But yeah, just think it always makes me want to go to Iceland. Makes me just want to travel and get up, and like this definitely falls under the categories of movies you watch and you just want to quit your job immediately. So depending on how you're feeling about your job, it can be a dangerous movie to watch. If you're not loving your job too much, you might get rash and quit the next day. But like George said, we'll touch on spoilers a bit. There's like really not a ton here. It's not really a big spoilery movie, but you can kind of touch on what you wanted to talk about the last photograph, because that's really kind of the only thing that's like a spoiler, I guess. But yeah, I'll kick it over to George.
Yeah, that was like the only. I remember the first time watching this movie, which was a long time ago, but I like as I was rewatching it, I was like, I so clearly remember thinking that they weren't going to reveal what that. Should we wait for Cam or did we know?
Cam hates that we like this movie so much.
He had to leave. No, I remember the first time I watched this movie, I was so like hell-bent on thinking like they're not going to show us what that picture is. It's going to be like one of those things where it's just like you imagine it. Like what could have possibly been like what's in the suitcase in Pulp Fiction, like one of those things, like one of film's biggest questions.
Yeah.
But the reveal, I think, is just like the most beautiful thing in the world, because it's an entire movie about this guy jumping out of his comfort zone, finding this courage to go on this massive adventure to find his boss after being, this, like Tyler said, just this guy that just shoves his face into work, doesn't have a lot of friends outside of work. He hangs out with his sister and his mom. That's about it. And then that final shot after this entire adventure he went on is a thank you, basically, for being so committed to his work. He's like sitting outside of Life magazine, and the assumption obviously is that Sean Penn took that picture from afar. So I think that's just like the most just beautiful ending to this movie possible. Just after all he went through, after this adventure he went on, to be recognized by his boss after being shit on by Adam Scott's character for 2 hours straight. It's just a really nice like little sentiment to Walter Mitty as a character, and it's like a nice little like congratulations, like you just went on this fucking fantastic adventure, but I want you to know that you're well respected in your community of work. Like I being Sean Penn see the work you're putting in and this image on the final edition of Life magazine is my way of saying thank you. And it was just such a cool little ending. Every time I watch this movie, I just feel so warm and fuzzy inside, especially when like they reveal that final magazine cover.
No, when that final magazine cover is revealed, I always get just like the biggest, stupidest grin on my face. Like it's just such a wholesome way to end the movie.
Yeah.
And I love his like dorky little character, like Kristen Wiig's like, aren't you gonna buy a copy? He's like, yeah, I should probably do that. I just didn't want to like wanted to play it off cool. Like, it'd be kind of weird if I bought it right here. But yeah, it just kind of plays into the whole movie of like it's just so like it could be considered overly wholesome, overly sentimental, but this is just like a movie it works for. It stays true to that the entire time. Like I just love how like even when he's going through these crazy trials, he's still just thinking about like Kristen Wiig's kid, and he's like, oh, I could get this longboard for him and get a present for him, and he's just like teaching him tricks, and just a dude who just doesn't really have a lot in the social realm of things, that has always been a well-meaning guy. We didn't even touch on the Match.com dude, which I just thought was like hilarious.
Hysterical.
Like,
hilarious.
I totally forgot about that until now. Like just
That is cool. I do like that a lot.
and then it just starts like when at the beginning of the movie, it's like, have you done anything exceptional? He's like, no, I'm just kind of a loser. And then at the end, he's like, you're not at all what I pictured. All the stuff he told me at the beginning. You told me you were like a loser and done nothing.
Even like throughout the movie, Walter Mitty's like, dude, I'm in Iceland right now. The guy's like, what the fuck, bro? He's like, I'm about to scale a volcano. He's like, dude, what happened to you in the last 2 days?
Good stuff. Anyone else got anything else to say on this one?
No, good movie. And the one thing I just want to stress is the combination of the soundtrack and the landscape just make for some of just like the most inspiring scenes out there.
Mm-hmm.
What, bro?
That was not English. That's crazy. What is wrong with it? If anyone's listening, I apologize.
It's too late.
Oh man, we're recording like late here. Yeah. I think the landscape kind of makes it, because Iceland is one of these places that is dreamlike. it kind of, completely offers that, and you can completely absorb the sentiment as well. And like Tyler said, it's like one of those films that makes you want to do what he's doing. If anything, it's a bad thing, because I bet people have quit their job because of this and messed up. So maybe we should be, condemning this film. But like in the long run, I think that it does exactly what it says, and it wants you to get up and do things. And I think it's, as much as it is over sentimental and a bit cliche, it works, and I like it. It works.
It works for this movie, especially like what you said, like Iceland, Greenland, very dreamlike. They're very surreal locations, which I think fits this like very surreal movie. Like it's this guy who's like having visions of him saving cats out of burning buildings and shit like that. So I think it all meshes very well together.
My dad went to Iceland like last week, actually.
Oh shit!
And he was sending me photos, and it's genuinely like that as well. Like it's
go.
Is he back from there? There's like a volcano erupting there right now.
He went for like, because it's not too far from us. It's only like 3 hours.
Hop on a plane,
3 hour flight, I think. And he went for like 3 days, just casually, just wanted to go to Iceland, I guess. Looks just exactly as it does, in the film. So that's definitely a go-to for anyone. For me,
we should all link there and record a ReelTok episode.
Yeah, from one of the hot springs. That'd be unreal. But yeah, shout out to our Icelandic listeners, because I know we have a couple patrons from Iceland. We've shipped ReelTok merch to Iceland before. I have seen a lot of stuff on the news that there's like a crazy volcano going on there. So hopefully you're safe and you're all good in Iceland. But shout out to you all. Shout out to our patron for recommending this one, which was, I have it right here, Reese David. We had a blast. Everyone on this podcast right this second had a blast with this movie and really enjoyed it, and didn't sit there thinking the rest of the day about, man, I didn't like that actually after I watched it early this morning. But we don't know what happened to Cam. Hopefully everything's all good there. But we hope you enjoyed this review, and we will see you on Monday with ReelTok episode 67. Peace.